like you had to be good at everything. Like you were the one people would always expect to show up, perform, and somehow never mess up. That was me. And I'm sure some of you would have felt the same too at times. I've always approached school life with boundless enthusiasm, be it academics, singing, speaking, acting. I've always thrown myself out there wholeheartedly, even if I wasn't necessarily good at it. And over the years, I've grown a reputation for being able to juggle it all. And I loved it. I loved the excitement, the positive energy, the chaos, and most of all, the challenge. Until one day, this balance hit an unexpected bump. Now, 2 years ago, I had my first term chemistry exam in year 8. And in my school, year 8 is when the GCSE syllabus starts. Now, 2 things. Number 1, GCSEs aren't like any ordinary middle school examination. And number 2, GCSE chemistry in particular is not your go-to study the night before the exam type of subject. But unfortunately for me, I was always the typical study the night before the test type of kid. And luck really wasn't on my side that day, because the day before the exam, I was caught up in rehearsals and practice for a play we had coming up at school. Now, in the chaos, I rushed to fit everything in, skipping through my chapters, skipping a couple of them, convincing myself they wouldn't appear on the test. And then came the exam. So now I see my paper, and I just freeze. Words I did not recognize, questions I couldn't even begin to comprehend. Electrolysis, the breaking down of an ionic compound into its constituents using electrical energy. What? And staring right back at me was just pure, unfiltered panic. Now I told myself, the world might end. And then I got my results and told myself, oh, the world is definitely going to end. Now, to all of you out there who I know for sure are thinking, is she really fussing about a failed exam? She's 15, for God's sake. Here's the thing. I had never seen myself in a state like that ever before, and so had the others around me. So obviously, I was mortified by the result I saw on my paper. And even more in disbelief was the girl sitting next to me who saw the big red U unclassified on my paper, which my teacher made sure to write in big, bold red ink. And she just went, no way, for everyone to hear. No one really talks about the excessive pressure on a person who's always known to get everything right and somehow never mess up. But what if I told you that mistake was probably what I needed the most? Now, as Olivia Rodrigo says, it is brutal out here. One wrong step, one wrong word, and this society can ruin your reputation. And if I'd have to rate the severity of a mistake from a scale of A to Z, I'd place the failed exam at A. Now, when I failed that exam, they said, she's never going to make it up there again. This is officially her downfall. And as a cuter word for that, they made me feel worthless. And let me tell you, that did not feel very nice. Now, if that's what the society's reaction to A made me feel, I cannot fathom what Z would even look like. But here's the thing. Sometimes the external voices around you tend to surpass the internal voices inside you. Because it's mostly the public's opinion to the little mistake you do that causes the after effects, the regret, the guilt. But it is crucial to stick to your conscience. Because remember, this is your life, and you own what you do. And let's be honest, as teenagers, we are professionals at making mistakes. We text the wrong person, we constantly compare ourselves with others, we even misjudge people we're supposed to trust the most. And sometimes we make grave mistakes that feel almost impossible to reverse. And for those of us who love filling life up with extracurriculars, mistakes are amplified. I've forgotten my lines mid-scene. I've sung a whole verse of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star off key. I've even run off a stage thinking I just ruined it all. But just for a moment now, let's get scientific. When you make a mistake, something amazing happens inside your brain, which, according to neuroscientists, is called neuroplasticity, which is basically the brain's ability to rewire itself. Now, the surprising part here is your brain is more active when you make a mistake than when you get something right, meaning mistakes aren't always proof of weakness, but signs that your neural pathways are being strengthened. So the next time you get a math problem wrong, do not hang your head, just smile, because your brain just leveled itself up. Now, mistakes are a human thing. Everyone makes them. From classrooms to laboratories, from small villages to big global stages. Even right now, I probably made my 7th mistake during the course of the 7 minutes I've spent on stage. But what matters is how you handle them and what you do with them afterwards. Penicillin, the antibiotic that saved millions of lives around the world, was invented, all thanks to Alexander Fleming, the Scottish scientist known particularly for his bad lab practice of leaving one of his petri dishes uncleaned before going on vacation. When he returned, he noticed something strange on his petri dish. The mold formed on it had engulfed the other bacteria around it. Now, you probably heard this story 1,000 times before. But what I would like to emphasize on with this example is the fact that that mistake led to one of the biggest medical discoveries out there. And just like Fleming, Einstein, Thomas Alva Edison, they chose to make their mistakes make them grow, thereby giving us the wiser and better inventions we use to this day. Now, mistakes aren't always industrial or academic. They could be deeply personal too. I once trusted someone with my deepest fears, insecurities, the parts of me I rarely revealed. The very next day, what I had shared with confidence was everyone's conversation. All my vulnerabilities were out there. Now, that mistake hurt more than any feared exam out there. Now, they say mistakes help you grow, they strengthen you mentally. But I say a mistake can help you connect with the people around you. Because tell me, what's more bonding than running to your best friend after something disastrous just happened and saying, "You are not going to believe what just happened to me." I'm just 15, but I know sometimes mistakes can feel huge. Sometimes it feels like a whole world is standing over you, watching you make a decision. But remember, the next time you fail a test, embarrass yourself in front of a big crowd of people, or get into a fight with a friend over some trivial thing that probably ruined your whole week, don't deny it. Accept it. Learn from it. And most importantly, own it. Because if I hadn't told myself 2 years ago, I am going to do whatever it takes to get past this mark, and if I didn't learn the hard way that not everyone who looks trustworthy and welcoming to your problems really are, I wouldn't have the tad bit of confidence and independence I have today. Today, chemistry, the very subject that once made me cry over my books, is the one I enjoy the most studying at school. And the one I score the highest in personally. I couldn't have done it without my teacher's guidance, that's for sure. And I assume I make my parents pretty happy with the grades I bring home. I know for a fact they're not upset. And this I know for sure. I will continue making mistakes. We all will. But every mistake will shape you into a stronger and wiser version of yourself that no one can defeat except for who you were yesterday. Because as Kelly Clarkson says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what a mistake can do to you if you truly own it. Because remember, A mistake could either be a comma or a full stop. You could choose to merely stop writing your story, or you could choose to continue writing a wiser and stronger one. And hey, the next time you fail a test, do not worry, just tell your parents, chill, it's just neuroplasticity in action. Thank you.